animal or the environment. And we've been doing this since 2014, and in memory of our son who passed away as an infant, Aaron. And it's been the life-changing joy of my life to work with so many young people and see them empowered by taking the initiative to notice needs around them and do something about it, take action. And we provide the resources, mentorship that they need, but all the ideas and all the love and heart and soul that goes into every project like this comes from our young people in our communities. And it is really, truly the most beautiful thing that I can imagine. And I feel so grateful to be able to do this work, especially in these really uncertain times. And so Lacey is a senior in high school now, and she has been part of Aaron's Presence for several years. And she came to me with an idea. And she said, I see a disconnect and a lack of communication sometimes between the parent generation and the child generation of first and second generation immigrants. And it really concerned her. And she wanted to do something about it to foster positive conversation and dialogue and more understanding. And I think that we all in the room can be so proud of her for thinking this way and wanting to bring people together to have really meaningful conversations about things that are affecting so many families, so many young people, so many older people. And this kind of conversation is really, I think, what can bring positive change and more understanding and joy to a lot of people. So I was really excited when she came to me with this idea, and I said, this is exactly why Aaron's Presence exists. And so, you know, we helped with some of the logistics tonight and stuff, but Lacey really spent so much time and thought planning everything. And we're so grateful to our panelists this evening for making the time and for agreeing with us that this is such a meaningful conversation to have. And so two kind of logistical things that I wanted to just add is, one, Middlesex had told me that we were going to have a mic and projection, and they can't seem to figure out where that is or how to access the equipment. So I'm really sorry. We're going to try to really project so that everybody can hear, but I think this is an intimate enough venue that that we can all hear. So so sorry about that. And also for parents who want to have their children maybe 12 years and under, go to the other room up there. We have some teenagers who have some activities and some fun stuff up there. So you can also feel free to send your younger children into that room because there will be some topics that are discussed tonight that they might not be ready for. So you can make that decision. And I think with that, I will turn it over to Lacey Winena. Dad, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
You can hear me?
Good.
You can hear me? Yes. Okay, weird. Hi, I'm Lacey. A lot of you guys know me as Shido. And thank you guys for being here today. It truly means a lot, not to just me, but to the entire community, especially my teenage friends. I wanted to start by sharing something a little bit personal. A couple years ago, I went through a really difficult season in my life. I was struggling quietly, emotionally, and mentally, but I hesitated to reach out. I kept telling myself that others have it worse or just push through because that's what I'd learned. Whether it was from culture, expectations, or fear, I didn't feel like I had permission to ask for help. But eventually I did. It wasn't easy, but facing that fear and choosing to speak up changed everything for me. With the right support, especially in therapy, I slowly started to heal. I started to unlearn shame. I started to realize I wasn't broken, I was just human. That experience inspired this event. Because I know I'm not alone,
There's so many of us, especially in first generation communities, growing up carrying silence like it's baggage and strength. But what if we choose connection instead? What if we gave each other, especially the next gen, the permission and platform to say, I'm not okay, and be met with support instead of shame? To start those conversations, to bridge generations, and to create a space where both parents and teens feel seen, heard, and respected. What are we doing today? And I truly believe that we can build a stronger, more compassionate community together. So thank you again for showing up, and let's get started. I'd like to introduce my panelists that have taken so much time out of their day. Some of them drove even 2 hours to be here. Anyone want to start? Let's start. Okay, wait.
You doing like this name or?
Name, work, education.
Yeah. Hi everyone. My name is Dylan Mashuki. I'm Kenyan. I'm a current sophomore at Brown University. I'm excited to be here and have a discussion with everyone here. And thank you, Lacey, again. Good.
How we doing? My name is Kevani Gaturu. I'm an OG. I'm a parent to a lot of y'all over here. I'm a father of 3 children that I love dearly. I've been in this country for a long time. And today we want to listen and we want to figure out some solutions as to what this gap that we know exists can somehow be bridged. So I'm looking forward to that. Thank you so much. I live in Worcester, by the way. And I was watching the Celtics game. What's the scores? Oh.
Hi, everyone. My name is Zoe Zaniku. I'm so excited to be here. This young lady is a phenomenal young lady. I stopped everything because of the conversations that I did have with her. And I am so excited to be here because this conversation that Lacey is spearheading is one that is so important. As an African mom and as a parent that had children that went through the school system, it's so important that we do bridge the gap. And thank you. And I honor you. And thank you so much for inviting me.
Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. That's better. My name is Adekunle Ogunsheye. I got here through a forum called Planners of Color in the state of Massachusetts. Originally, I am a planner, member of American Planners Association. And coincidentally, while on the forum, they're looking for somebody who has an affiliation with a mental health profession. I also double as a clinical supervisor in a mental health facility. Today, I'm a parent. I'm here as a parent. I am also an Anglican priest and a graduate of Harvard Divinity School. So I will be here to share across all experiences and generation, and so that we have fun together, because this is what I believe in. Thank you for having me, and I really appreciate Lacey and Leah and Aldoza on Planners of Color for the privilege to be here. I have my wife here with me. She might be quietly seated, and I have our last daughter also to be part of this occasion. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jabella Faith Tillahan. I'm a first-gen student here in America. My parents are Kenyan. My father is Ethiopian. I'm representing myself as like a student, of course, a first-gen. I'm here just to help give my point of view on the conversation as someone who's kind of bridging themselves as a young adult, of course, into the environment, into society, as someone who makes content, who's pursuing modeling as well as business. Yeah, I'm excited to be here. I'm so blessed that you allowed me to be here. And I thank you guys all for being here as well.
Right, hi everyone.
My name is Mercy Irura, but I like to go by Kami, short for Mukami. I'm originally from Kenya. And this young lady here is actually my first cousin, so it's nice to see her here. I'm also a Middlesex alumni. Is anyone here an alumni of Middlesex?
Yeah.
Or current students? Or current students? Future students, okay, all right. Yeah, so I'm very excited to be here. You're doing a great job. This is a great initiative. I'm also a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner, so I'm here to talk more a little bit about what we do for treatments for mental health conditions. I'm also a mother of 2 little girls, and I'm excited to be here.
Hi, my name is Bukuru Rugwizangoga. I'm a first generation family. Came to Lowell, moved to Lowell in 2010. It's my mom over there and my little brother. And this is the first event my mom's been with me, so this is very huge to me. Huge shout out to Lacey too for putting this together. Things I do, I work with the Boston Celtics. I'm heavily involved in the community. I'm a youth mentor and I model and I got a clothing brand too, based on mental health, on top of all the other stuff I do. But just being a role to the next generation is everything for me. And leading by example. And what's important to me is I can show you better than I can tell you. And the best part is I'm doing both. And thank you for giving us the platform to come in and share our thoughts.
I just wanted to. I just wanted to quickly thank Miss Leah. Oh, thank you a lot because, like you said, I did come.
In one word, I would say it's important, the importancy. I'll say that the need of. That's a good question, but yeah, I'd say important.
Mental health, mental health is something that really hasn't been traversed up until recently. But it's something that's been relevant in all our lives that we've never really delved into and tried to understand. It's a mystery that is yet to be unraveled. We know it exists now, but we need to work on it. Mental health is life. Mental health is well-being. Mental health is humanity. Yeah.
For me, we see mental health is impactful. Mental health impacts the person that's going through it. It impacts the family that cares for that person. It impacts the community that's surrounded by that person. And it impacts everything that is connected to the being, to the person. And it is well overdue for this conversation to happen just as health. And I thank you.
Well, I'll say mental health is a state of emotional, psychological, and mindset well-being, and which affects your disposition in your community, in your personal life, And all these factors are also like the ambient, the environmental, the kind of stressor and coping skills you have that determines your balance and maintenance of your baseline as human. So whenever you have this distortion in your environment, in your personal life, in things around you, then that state of well-being is jeopardized, is distorted. And that's where the challenge and the concern, the dysphoria, and all the turbulence sets in a state of mental health. So it's just like an engine room for every individual to actualize their worth and to carry out their activities in a serene and logical and desirable approach.
First off, this is a great question. I think for me, if I was to describe it, I would say just like evolving, ever evolving. In the sense of like, as it was mentioned, you know, we didn't really have this conversation up to a couple years ago, so we're kind of learning more. And I think with mental health, people learn more about themselves. And again, as it was said, like mental health and all that is connected, it connects you to everyone around you, you know, how you feel, then, you know, is what you give to others. But yeah, definitely evolving, because of course it can also go up and down with the season, so.
For me, I think, 2 words, health and balance. When it comes to health, I think, or I know because I live and breathe mental health in my career right now, all day, every day. Mental health is health. It's part of your health. You know, a lot of us, when we talk about being healthy, we only think about physical health, right? But mental health is kind of the umbrella that sits over everything. In terms of when you wake up, your mental health decides if you're gonna get out of bed, if you're gonna have a productive day, what decisions you're gonna make for the day, how you're gonna interact with other people, how you're gonna balance your day in terms of what you have to get done. Mental health determines that. So it's so important to have a balance with your mental health. And then the word balance is everyone has their own internal factors that they're battling, and they have to balance that against what's happening around them. So just health and balance.
Mental health to me, like piggyback what OG said, it's life, it's everything. And I believe that if you have the right perspective on mental health and life, and the simple fact that it's everything, and quote I live by is no matter your condition, it's always your mindset. So being aware of that and putting that into place as you face life will come easy.
All right, pause from them really quick. On your tables, there's copies of a Mad Libs game. This is, I think, 2 copies on each table. At least. In groups of 2 or 3, just fill it out. It's supposed to be light, funny. You know what a Mad Libs is, like, you know. So just fill it out, and the funniest table, funniest duo trio wins. I'll give it 5 minutes. Do you guys have more than 2?
I think it's just like. You know that? It's whatever. So you can put up. You wanna put them back against it. I don't know. It's dirty, they just love. Now you like it. All over. Yeah, but it's all over. I mean, I know. This guy's what he said. You didn't even care about single people. And like. No, just the funniest one. I'm gonna be like, this is. Sit here, we just stand there. Yeah. Yes. 2 more minutes. Yeah.
But yeah, once again, just. Get up, project.
But it's But their perspectives on why I look or just to be like the whole person. It doesn't mean talking to the person, even if it's like yeah,
I didn't even know that happened. I stopped watching.
Oh, you're the bathroom.
You go straight up my horse. Yo.
When you guys are done, you can just put them in the middle and then I'll come by and let them use them later. We're gonna move to our questions now.
Yes.
All right, we're gonna move into our questions now. If we could just like put the Mad Libs into the middle and I'll collect them and read them towards the end. Ready? My first question goes to Dylan at the end. What's one thing you wish your parents understood about your mental health?
Good question. One thing about my mental health. So just to give you an inside scoop again, I'm Kenyan. So the way I perceive life in my lens is different from my parents. Growing up, I went to an all-boys school. So that's something that where it became almost in a sense of a challenge. Like I couldn't bring up girls when I started meeting girls when I got to that age. And that was one thing that a lot of people didn't understand, and that messed up essentially how I view certain things when I went about it in life. So it was really challenging for me to go ahead and talk to my parents about certain things, certain aspects of my life because of the way they grew up, where they always had to be tough, where they couldn't expose the sense of weakness. You know, you don't see your parents sad or you don't see your parents frustrated. You always see your parents always on a go move, always on a head on a swivel. You don't, now as a child, you can't go up to them and be like, hey mom, I'm dealing with this, hey mom, hey dad, I'm dealing with this. So with me, that was one thing that really challenged me growing up with my mental health, was I never seen that weakness within my parents to expose that weakness within myself. So that's the thing I was saying.
Well, gee,
Yeah.
bouncing off of that, how was mental health discussed or not discussed when you were growing up?
Nonsense. You were weak. There was a sense of weakness. As an African, I'm Kenyan too. Alright? You don't show weakness, especially for men. You can never show that you are in any way, which or form being belittled by the virtues of life. You're supposed to stand up, act like you can and make it happen, and if you can't, you keep it to yourself. We suffer in private, we suffer in isolation. Okay? We didn't know how to cope. And that led to a lot of issues in our homes back in the day, especially as a man. Our mothers, however, had a network. They never thought it was mental health. It was never discussed as mental health. But women have a way of projecting or being able to alleviate whatever it is they're going through. But from a man's perspective, from my father's perspective, for me growing up, it was weakness.
Roger that. I declare. What fears do you have when your child talks about struggling?
Struggling should be received with empathy, support, referral where necessary, optimism, and I'm trying to put it in an acronym of response. R for referral, E for empathy, S for support, and P for being positive around it. And O as in optimistic, N as in nurture. I think I've discussed all other ones. It's just being empathetic. So struggling is natural to human and should not be received dismissively to discard the individual, but you want to engage to meet the individual where they are without being dismissive. I don't want to see struggling as a taboo. I don't want to see it as a sign of weakness because of the mindset of my generation. As a culturally intelligent individual, I respect the gap between the Gen X and baby boomers to that of millennial, Alpha, and Gen Z. And being not able to close this gap is a big problem. So the generational disparity, dichotomy, and misunderstanding is always there. So I have to stand to bridge the gap. So struggling is real. I also had my struggle for my generation, and I do not want to discard. So American slogan, you hear something, you see something, you say something. But I will add, when you hear something, do something positive, not destructive, not judgmental, not dismissive, but embracing and showing love and giving cultural support. Because struggling is real to human. And that's the point in time we all need support.
Hello. Oh yeah, Jamila, what's the biggest pressure or from school, friends, and family that you feel like impacted you and made you struggle in silence?
Cheryl, I need a question. Cheryl, we didn't get a question. Say it again.
Biggest pressure you feel from school friends or family?
Okay.
If I look down, I have notes, by the way, so everyone knows I'm not awful. First, I'll start with school. I think growing up in an African household, you have a pressure to perform or overperform. So I kind of dealt with that pressure of like being always on top of my game. If I didn't have an A, you know, it's like, what are you doing? Or you're not doing enough, you know what I mean? And I think another thing that added onto that was just being the oldest. You know, I kind of have to set the example for my younger sister. So I kind of just had to have a conversation when I got to college, like, hey, I'm not the best at math, right? But like, I'm doing good in my business law, you know, like, give me a little something, please. But yeah, back to what I was saying, in my family, I'm the oldest, so I'm kind of that person where everyone just had like calls. My mom's calling me, my dad's calling me, my sister needs help with this, you know what I mean? And when I was younger, let's say high school, I dealt with it a lot, and I couldn't balance it in a way, you know what I mean? And I kind of took it in a negative light where it's like, you know, why does everyone need my help, or why can't that, like, you just figure it out, you know what I mean? But after a while, I kind of just looked at it from a point of just like, you know, they might just need me, you know, out of the lack of their own capacity in the moment. So just like moving with grace, and just in other words, like putting myself in their position. But I will say, like, being the eldest is not for everyone. So I would say, like, just urge, you know, families to just kind of have the same expectations and goals for every sibling, whether it's based on how old they are or like even age, not age, gender. Cause I know sometimes it's a little bit easier for the males in the house. So I would just urge families to kind of look at it in a different way. And then for friends, man, you know, I'm that one friend where like everyone kind of calls on. And when we're connecting back to mental health, I would just say, like, for all those people who feel like your friend is calling you and always needs your help, you know, take time to like help yourself, you know what I mean? Like you're always checking in on everyone, but make sure to check in with yourself, because I feel like I struggled with that in high school and definitely my freshman and sophomore year of college. And you know, when school gets harder and life gets harder and more real, you know, you kind of get to a place where like you're in shock, you don't even know where to go. So just with friends, I definitely would say be a good friend, but also be a good person to yourself first.
Okay, what motivated you to not go the traditional college route? Was there backlash from adults you would have preferred if you received a college education?
I get it all the time, and it definitely doesn't stop me in my journey, because I'm doing what's best for me and I'm living for me. And with that being said too, there's a lot of people living through me. I'm a first generation family. You know, the ideal thing is go to college, get a job, and follow through with that. But for me, I had basketball dreams, and my route was gonna be, you know, go D1, go to college, play, get a free scholarship. But life had different plans for me. I tear my ACL. With me tearing my ACL, it led me to just learning what I want to do in this world, and you know, what brings me peace. And basketball was a vehicle for me, and I thought that was what I wanted to do, but God had bigger plans for me. So me tearing my ACL was a blessing in disguise. That led me to finding what I truly love doing. And what I love doing is what I'm doing exactly right now, present in this room, talking to you guys, and whether it's talking to the youth, helping people in need, modeling or hosting events, or me with my brand. That's what I love to do, and a lot of people will look at me and project their ideal dreams, goals on me. Oh, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. They're telling me what's best for them. And I view them from a perspective of grace, because I understand where they're coming from. They're coming from where they're coming from. You're not coming from where I'm coming from, you know. And with that even being said, I had to break a lot of barriers, especially in my family. Like my mom knows, we're a first generation family. Of course, you want me to get a job and work hard, but we're in a land of opportunities. It's America. You can be anything you want to be as long as you put your mind to it and get up every morning and do it. So, you know, I'm breaking that stigma every day by getting up and doing exactly what I said I was going to do. But there's nobody telling me to do that. It's on me. And if I chose this path, there's nobody putting a battery in my back. I gotta stay determined and dedicated. You know, these are the fruits of my labor.
Quick activity again. The white index cards. Yeah. If everyone could just write down one coping strategy they use when they're stressed, that's gonna lead us into our next topic. I'm sorry, if everyone could write down one coping strategy they use when they're stressed, then I'm just gonna read out. The next topic.
No.
Everybody heard.
You give him some questions. Yeah, give him something that's.
One coping strategy when you're stressed. Not so to be alone when we check.
Me, I got.
Next topic.
Yeah, please, sorry, yes, I'm stressed.
Got it. It does. I'm there with you. I'm there. Yes.
Oh, yeah, I don't need to. A couple quick examples we have are taking a walk, working out, that's a good one, I mean, we'll have a lot of that. Driving to music, yeah. Another long nature walk, sitting in front of water, yeah. Oh, that's good. Alright.
You didn't ask me mine.
What's your coping strategy?
I sip on a whiskey. Huh? I'm calling it. I'm calling it. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're gonna turn towards the harder conversations we must have with courage. And at this moment, I kindly ask all the men in the building to rise. Can you hear me? Oh, okay. Great. Men's mental health tends to go unheard and unseen, but this ends today. The stigma surrounding men's depression and anxiety has been the largest factor as to why they don't reach out for help. The suicide rate among males is 4 times higher than women. Men make up 50% of the population, yet 80% of suicides. And suicide is the leading cause of death in men under the age of 50 in the United States. We must do our job as a community to assure that our brothers, fathers, and husbands feel safe in their environment to advocate for themselves. Your presence in this room doesn't go unseen, and your bravery in attempting to stitch the wounds is worth honoring. Ladies, please give me a round of applause. Look already here. Hey, I was drinking scene in your home growing up.
My home, my dad never drank, my mom never drank. They were teetotalers. So Christian, church, school, education, that never happened in my home.
How do you think it plays into our culture? Alcohol, social drinking,
It's an integral part of our culture.
yeah,
Yeah, it is.
you think it's a problem?
It's a big problem. It's a huge problem. A huge problem. Like in Africa, Zambia and Kenyans are known to be the worst drinkers in Africa. It's a huge problem. Big time. Ask me.
Sure. No, okay. Can you talk about unhealthy versus healthy coping?
So. Again, I'm so struck by how critical and how important you are facilitating this conversation. And the coping skills in and of itself allows for you to either choose a path for mental health where it's stable, or choose a path through mental health that is destabilizing. Now, we're talking about alcohol and alcoholism. It's like this. If you're dealing with a mental health problem, how do you cope? Some of us cope with alcohol. Some of us cope with drugs. Some of us cope with speaking to friends or family, and some of us cope with seeking out professional help. But what I really wanted to get across here on this panel, I'm a mom and I'm like from Liberia, but I came here with the same opportunities as everyone else, but my life, my personal life took a detour because someone extremely close to me developed mental health illness. And it was so impactful that it drove me to run for state representative. This right here makes or breaks our society. And we need to talk about it. You forging this because of what has happened in your life. Look at how many people you've impacted. And it's only because what she's going through or what she went through. And we are all going through something, or we know someone that's going through something. So the coping mechanism, the correct way, and thank you, Lacey, for bringing folks such as Sola. No, sorry. And I have another person, Henry Mburu, who is a psychiatric nurse as well, and in the Lowell system that I know personally, seek out help. Alcoholism is not the way, drugs are not the way, and silence is never the way. We're talking about it. And we'll continue to.
Oh, yeah. Is there another place you feel more comfortable talking about your emotions and feelings?
Yeah, I first want to say, I think, as I should excuse myself, I do have to get it going, and I'm extremely sad because we're getting more into it. And, the question was, do you mind asking?
Yeah. Is there another place you feel more comfortable talking about your emotions or feelings?
So, a place I feel mostly comfortable and vulnerable with my emotions and who I really feel is with my voice. the people that I truly like grew up with, going to school with. To be fully transparent with you, you're not gonna see me sitting there expressing my emotions and crying out to my boys, right? And that's the truth of it. Let's be transparent, right? As men, we go and we seek our friends to get our mind off of it, right? So I do also think that as I go to my friends and I do look at them as an escape, they're not the problem solver, essentially. So I don't have an ideal place to go and express my emotion. I don't have a place to go and be like, I'm feeling like this, I'm feeling like that. And I can guarantee a lot of men in here feel the same way. So I don't want to sit up here and be like, I go to my boys and that's where I feel really comfortable. Yes, I do feel comfortable because they make ease within my life, where we can go out, play some basketball, listen to some music, hang out. And I do think that's a beautiful coping mechanism. But I do ask people in here, individuals in here, check on your boys. Ask your boy, yo, how did this affect you? How did this make you feel? There's certain things that we see our friends go through, and we don't quite take the time to ask them, how did that make you feel? How did that really affect you as a person? And that's something that I hold myself up to. So as I go on and I carry on with my friends, I'm gonna take the time and take the moment to ask them what is truly affecting them and what is truly bothering them.
What
Yeah.
do you think it's gonna take for you and your boys and for all the other boys of your age to now speak up and now reach out for help and?
I only piggyback back on the point of like our culture going through this terrible, I don't know what you call it, but just the alcoholism in general. I think it takes our parents seeing it first. A lot of us growing up, we go see our parents, they go to their friend's house, they go enjoy a couple beers. But you'll never see them really dissect what's really going on. What's even going on with the church. There's a lot of things going on in the church. And sometimes they might even have a couple beers just to discuss a little bit about a topic like that. So I think it stems up our parents, and I truly don't blame them well, but if we can see our parents just having that sense of calmness within interaction with one another and having those deep type of convos, I think that will also stem within the youth as well. So I really appreciate everyone's time, and I hope the conversation goes really well. And thank you.
Before you leave, let me interject 1 second. You asked a question earlier about coping, so then I said I sip on a whiskey, right? Your generation, you smoke weed. All right? Okay, you guys smoke weed. All right, let's bring that up. All right, so no, like, you know, it's like for us OGs and our generation, we don't play weed. Can you talk about that? Can anyone expound on that?
I can expound on it. I don't
Alright.
partake in weed. I don't smoke. I'm a student, so that's my mainly focus. But he's being fully transparent.
Yeah.
A lot of the youth, we do stem to marijuana, we do stem to even some people alcohol. But I do see there's a problem within that also we can't express how we feel, and that's what typical
Alcohol, definitely compromises the ability for rational thinking. That's why sometimes when persons are depressed, they get into drinking, they feel that they have the energy to do something that they wouldn't have done when they didn't take the drink. You find a number of suicidal cases coming from either someone who has taken not just alcohol, could be any kind of drug. So when you take something, it alters the way you think and can lead to a lot of very dangerous. We call them risk factors. And most of our population, for those who are struggling with some kind of mental illnesses, they tend to cope, as other speakers said, with either drugs, alcohol, or other things. And again, that is mal coping. They're coping with something which is not really helping them. And just to add something, marijuana is very rampant today. And even the system is encouraging kids to take that. It's okay. It's not just what the politicians are telling us that we should do, but it's what it is causing. There's a lot of psychosis associated with marijuana because it does have dopamine. It makes you feel good. And once you have excess dopamine in the brain, it can lead to psychosis. You start seeing light here when it's dark here, and hearing voices or seeing things that others are not saying. So I'm so happy that we're in this panel today to talk about our youth, because I've been looking forward to this. Permit me thank Leah and the organizer of this panel, that we are able to have a conversation for our children this evening. So that some of us who are foreigners who are here and who maybe some who are born here, we tend to just follow. Your friends are your support. You need your friends. But how can you be with these friends and again live the life that they are not living? So we must be very careful. We're not saying that you shouldn't have friends. But when you have friends, look at what they're doing. Observe them. And then don't be afraid to share some of the challenges that you're going through. Come to us. If you come to my office and you don't want to talk something, just drop a note, don't write a name on it. And then maybe somehow I'm going to kind of like, okay, when this meeting here and this what I'm going through, my strength is medication. I do prescribe medications for all sorts of mental illnesses. I do a little bit of therapy, but I can also direct you where to get help. So I think this is a very wonderful discussion we're holding. And in fact, I just have to be brief because I can take so much of your time talking about illnesses. It's a spectrum. Everything runs in a spectrum, whether anxiety or depression, schizophrenia, bipolarity, or whatever thing, there's a spectrum. Where from this end, there is nothing. At the other end of the spectrum, we're struggling a lot. So I just wish to be brief, and we can have this conversation some other time if you wish to have some more details about this. Thank you.
Next part is gonna be a little bit difficult considering that I don't have my projector. Are most of us familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs?
Can you repeat that?
Maslow's hierarchy of needs?
No, we're not.
You're not?
No. Someone pulls up.
Okay, well, it's a pyramid of what the human being needs to survive. The bottom consisting of shelter, food, and the top consisting of love and acceptance. But psychologically, you cannot move up until you are the needs at the bottom have been met. Many of our parents, understandably, work hard to give us food, shelter, safety, and education. That's survival. But human beings don't just survive. We're wired to seek love, acceptance, self-respect, and a sense of purpose. Mental health struggles often begin when the needs at the top of the pyramid are ignored or feel unreachable. You're not familiar with the pyramid?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm not.
You told me.
Like no one here is.
Seriously?
No. Okay, you want to ask the question?
So let's go.
Just go ahead, ask me a question.
Okay, so the bottom is psychological needs that consists of breathing, food, water, shelter, clothing, and
Clothing.
clothing, right? Next is safety and security that consists of health, employment, property, family, and social ability. Above that is love and belonging. That's friendship, family, intimacy, and sense of connection. Above that is self-esteem, consisting of confidence, achievement, respect of others, and the need to be a unique individual. The top of the pyramid is self-actualization that consists of morality, creativity, acceptance, purpose, meaning, all that. So I believe that we as first gens are in the second and third part of the pyramid, where we're at the part where we're seeking love, the acceptance, and the self-respect, because our parents struggled so hard to complete the bottom part, where that's food, shelter, safety, and education. Considering the fact that they traveled across these to move here, they started from the ground up. We're all testimonies of that, yeah, but. So, as thankful as we are, we never had to struggle and experience that, like the bottom part. So just naturally, we're in the second and third parts of the pyramid. Jabella, where do you feel in the pyramid that you struggle the most with today? If you could all like search up Maslow's hierarchy on your phone, like you'll get a little bit more of it.
As for me, I think as of right now, like where I'm at in my life, in my career and all that, I would say I struggle with the esteem part, but not necessarily like my self-esteem. I think I've come to a place where I have enough confidence, of course, being like a model and making content and stuff. I think it's just esteem in the sense of like respect of others, reputation and recognition. I think those are things that affect me right now in my life. So like as a content creator, model, I feel as though a lot of people, in terms of me and just like their community all around, they're not as supportive as one another. I just feel like there's a certain animosity towards one another when it's like, I see you doing good, why can't that be me, et cetera, et cetera. And I've had this conversation with like a whole lot of different people in our generation, and it seems to be like the same kind of opinion as well. And I don't necessarily let this behavior stop what I'm doing. And I just think overall, it's just kind of changed my perspective on where I'm at, where I'm going, and like at the end of the day, who I'm allowing at my wedding, you know what I mean? But yeah, I feel like many of us, especially me coming from the Kenyan community, I think a lot of us come from communities where gossiping and envy are something we saw growing up. It's very evident. And so I think our generation, now that we have phones, right, we've kind of taken it and twisted it where it's like, now we're just watching everyone, or we have a comment to say behind someone's back in the same, kind of in the same essence. So I kind of just want to encourage everyone to kind of just be more supportive. And it's like, it's okay for you and your neighbor to be winning in life. Yeah, I think that's where I'm at with that hierarchy.
And I will say, scientifically, I think what quite literally causes that generational gap is just the fact that our parents and us were just in a different slot of the pyramid. So that's the scientific, like, once you understand that, like, open mind and like you can pick that up. BK, after leaving school, did focus on your needs in the pyramid change, and if how?
When they change, no, they did not. If anything, it was more focusing on the pyramid, and I feel like the more I branched out and leaving school, it led me to really focusing on what's on the pyramid and leaning into my full self. And for myself, I'll say I'm at the top, really leaning into my full potential. And I pride myself in knowing myself. And the quote I live by, and I said, is to know yourself is to know everyone. So the more I know myself, the more I feel like I know everyone, because, well, excuse me, we're all human beings. This is the very first time we're all doing this, living, whether it be your parent, your grandparent, your sister, your brother, this is the first time we're all living. So, it's all about just me, every day leaning into who I really am and just living my truth and, living my advice and practicing what I preach. So, yeah.
And adding on to that, as a first generation American, how have you navigated the pressure to honor your mother's sacrifices while also carving out your own path, especially when it comes to mental health and career choices? Dr. Celtics,
I gotta say the first one. It ain't been easy, I'm not gonna lie, cause the stuff I'm doing is never seen before. I've never seen anyone do this. I'm a first generation family. We lived in mud houses, there was days it would rain, we lose a lot. And there's people around me every day that don't know that I'm a first generation family. I don't feel like it's some fact the way I carry myself. I don't know if they want me to wear like a dashiki or something, but I pride myself, I know where I come from, and I'm blessed to be here. I remember trying to envision what America was like, and I envisioned gold rainbows and
how old
butterflies.
were you when you were here?
I was 9 years old, turning 10. And I lived in the village, but I'm fortunate to be here to land the opportunities. And coming to America, especially for first generation family, like one thing people don't speak on is how vulnerable we are. We're really vulnerable to the world, to society, and coming and moving into Lowell, it was hard for me adjusting, fitting in, because you don't know where to start, where to begin. There's nobody telling you where to go. It's all about adapting, and you might mess around and adapt into the wrong crowd, into the wrong people. So off the simple fact of how vulnerable you are. I'm fortunate enough to, be a student of life and have a perspective that I have on life that I was able to learn from other people's mistakes. My older brother, I've seen him in and out of mental hospital since I was young, which is hard. But me seeing him mess up, I put a lot of pressure on myself. We didn't have a dad, and I figured if I mess up, the whole family's gonna fall apart. So I had to step up. So the majority of my life, I was the one playing that big brother role to all of us and carrying the weight of the family. But it took a village. But I always had a good head on my shoulders, and I always listened. Being a student, my mom installed that to me in a very early age. Always listen, be respectful, and I'll take you a long way in life. And I took that, ran with it. And to say the least, in the midst of me being me, figuring myself out, I was young and naive, I was young and dumb, I made mistakes, but I was willing to learn from them and grow from them, and I held myself accountable. And that's one thing people lack, especially our generation, accountability. Everyone wants to point fingers, but it's like, before you point fingers, you gotta be able to point at yourself. So I pride myself, like I said, to know yourself is to know everyone. But being a first generation family, yes, it wasn't easy, but you gotta be optimistic, delusional about your goals. I come from Africa, I live in mud houses, I have a roof over my head, I have clothes, I don't gotta worry about food. So it's a blessing, and like I'm a firm believer that anything is possible that you put your mind to. I dreamed about this day of being here, and I'm here. So there isn't one thing that anybody in this room can tell me that I can't do. If I believe I can do it, I can do it. You guys have to believe in that, especially the young generation. You guys have to believe in that. The person might be telling you realistic. This is the 21st century, bro. And nobody tells you could get rich off of posting something on your phone. It's so many ways to make money, but obviously you gotta make sure it's the right way. And that was the hardest part though. Me being very vulnerable, I'm exposed to the street life. I'm exposed to all this other stuff. And it's easy to settle what's in front of you. I can't even speak on what was in me that made me take the higher route, the longer route. I know it's just where I came from, but also making sure I had the company I needed around me and along the road. But for a very long time, I was lost. I didn't know who I was. The world told me exactly who to be because I came here, I was vulnerable. So the world was telling me who to be, and society was telling me I'm a street dude. You feel me? I'm seeing people coming in and out of jail. You start to adapt to that because that's the environment you're growing up in, and that's the thing that sucks about the environments we're in. So I adapted to that. I remember sitting in a waiting cell. I'm just like, damn, why am I here? What am I doing here? My mom didn't sacrifice all these years, everything she did for us to come to America just for me to throw it away. And that was the pivotal moment for me where I was just like, yeah, I'm never coming back here. I gotta get it together. My mom sacrificed everything day in and day out. And if it was easy, everybody in Africa would be here. So simply remember where I come from empowers me every day to be somebody. My mother with all the opportunities she never got to have. So why would I go and throw that away? Why would I settle? But so the more I started working on myself, learning who I am, there was people that met me where I was at. You know, if you're looking for growth, growth is gonna be true. It's gonna bring those people into your life. My guy Bear right there, he just walked in. Man, shout out to the guy right there.
Oh, my name is Zoe Johnson. I know this room, someone who knows me. Can you come here? He helped me, should be mentor for him. He was with Jim when he loved basketball from middle school. I had you, it's just to see you, because I'm from Michigan. I told him that we people stay here. So, how I started to know BK, I want everybody to hear this story. It's told to you. Always I like this story. BK is my mentor. He encouraged me a lot. And BK, when he was grow up from Africa, I bring them and his brother is there. Stand up, Chisel. I know. This is what 5 kids, 4 boys, 1 daughter, but he's twins. I didn't from my son. So BK, he loved to play basketball. He didn't have a chance to go to NBA, but always he tell me, Mama, I want to go to high school, get fellowship, scholarship, maybe I can go to NBA. But he didn't have a chance because, you know, single mother inspiration. I was single mother here. If I go to work, I lost a job, I become homeless. I was here, you guys, you talk about mentor, about homeless. Every story you need to come to ask me. Or to be stronger, come to ask me. Because I pass all of those information. People who go to group home, some people they get medication, they didn't supposed to have that position, come ask me. Everything I passed through. So let me talk about the Bukuru. Bukuru, when he was a little boy, we live in a refugee camp, too much glasses like here. I meet Bukuru when I go to baptize, because I'm Pentecost. He was working when he was 6 years. To go to find soil, he wanted to build the car. And when he see me, they needed to give you a chance to put your picture because I have all the picture. When I see him, I say, what are you doing here? I say, I'm coming to make a car. I'm gonna be engineer. Are you sure? Then I take a picture for him. Right now, he say, I will need it to pray. So he keep coming to my house to pick BK to go to play basketball. And he didn't stress me. He was a nice boy. He helped me to take care of other boys. Because he was younger, but he was trying to talk to Chiza, to talk to other boys. I was seeing, even me too. So thank you for what you do. And I believe who was there is there. So thank you so much. I keep praying for him. I know this is not the end. You are not done. I pray for you to keep moving. Next time, go even in Africa, tell them where you from, so people they can understand who are you.
I got you.
I bring him to America when he was 6 years.
9 years old.
9 years old, that one he was 6 years. And I appreciate it for you to stand up. When I was homeless, I became homeless in America 2 times. First time I became homeless because BK was broke his leg, he got to play basketball. I go through to take him to hospital. I lost a job. No one who pay rent. So I become homeless again. I go to CTI, they give me a place to stay. Second one, I become homeless when I was losing my leg. Next time they will take these kids this year. But they bring kids back. When the judge was said, please people for this year, don't bring kids for this year again. Judge asked me, are you Christian? I say, yes. He gave me Bible and my kids' Bible. Yeah, that case it was good. This lady, thank you so much. He told me he know me. The last time I was in this building is where I was a delegate in Massachusetts. I voted senator, I voted House representative in this building, 2016. And when I lost housing authority, they was giving me a house. Again, I lost the house third time. I meet with Elizabeth Warren because I was close to him everywhere where he go. When I need the apartment, I meet him to community health center. He called a house representative, say, I have even a picture me and him with Elizabeth that time. He said, oh, Wittons, where you are? I say, I am homeless. Oh, no. He gave house representative my name, and he, Johnny Kennedy office, they call a city of law to find me where I am and my kids. And who was responding my phone was this lady. Can you believe it? And I'm here today, I see him face to face. So please respect everybody because he doesn't know who gonna be your friend or who gonna help you for your future or to help your kids. So today,
Yeah, this is one of the most important meals in my life. Never had a father in my life. My older brother, he had his own battles. I still my older brother, that's my dog, but you know, when he was fighting his battle, man, I had bro to look at as an uncle, as a father figure, as a friend, the whole nine, man. And you know, he would push me. I never like, if you have a father in your life, man, I hope you understand how blessed and lucky you are. Even if you guys don't talk, I hope you make amends and you know, see him for who he is. And you know, don't stoop to his level, because he's moving the way he's moving because of his life experiences. So you gotta move with grace. But I was fortunate to have Bear in my life to push me to grow. When I was falling out of line, he was making sure I was on top of my grades and just being a male at that. My mom had 4 or 5 boys on her own. Growing up with a woman, you feel me? A woman can raise a man to an extent. No disrespect to the women. Eventually, I had to venture out and learn, you know, how to be a real man. As simple as holding the door for somebody, or just the smallest stuff. But you know, always had a good head on my shoulders thanks to my parents. And thanks to Bear, man. This dude saved my life, man. Saved my life. Having me away on the weekends playing basketball. And to say the least, I was once a product of my environment. Now my environment is a product of me because of the stuff I'm doing. I'm doing my best to get better.
I'll quickly say that BK is a testimony of greatness coming from nothing and being great. Last summer, Celtics parade, he was part of the parade. I'm like in the, oh, that's BK. Motherfucker at the Celtics game and he's actively playing ball with dudes, like Jason Tatum's son, like he's just playing ball with dudes. I'm like, this is like an average Tuesday for you, like period.
So guys, we're pressed for time and we wanted to respect your time. If you have a little more time, we can continue our fabulous presentation. If not, we can try to start wrapping it up, but she wants to ask, you let us know.
Time, like more time or like
Let's talk about one topic.
answer the question.
Okay.
Are we like, do you get like, should we start wrapping it up or are you guys going to keep going? This was supposed to end at 7:30, but are we gonna?
You wanna go another like,
Let's cover that.
if people wanna go another 20 minutes?
Okay, yeah,
Something
we'll
like
be
that.
good.
And anybody who needs to leave, like, feel free to leave, but if you wanna stay, then we'll keep going. For another.
Alright. OG,
Yeah.
were there emotional needs you, wait, no.
What?
What levels of the pyramid do you feel you worked hardest to give your children?
Yeah. Right, I'm a single dad. Alright? You know, when you hear single parents, it's all about single mothers. I'm a single dad. That's my son right there. Stand up. That's Brandon Baturu Giovanni, engineer extraordinaire. Praise by this man right here. It's just it's a physician assistant. Psych. OG right here. And the youngest one is gonna be the next president of the United States. She's 6. Psychological needs. There you can sit down, boss. For my kids, what I could do for them was psychological. Giving them shelter, clothing, that the parents do. We do the basics. We do what we gotta do. I protect them. I fend for them. That I do. I'm a very tough dad. He'll attest to that. Now we're becoming friends. We were never friends before. I was a dictator. It's a school of hard knocks. It's not easy, and I'm very hard on him. Extremely hard on my son, the boy child. The boy child, my brothers and sisters here, is something we need to focus on. The boy child. Mama, you have raised five, how many?
4 boys.
4 boys.
But one passed away, his twins was like.
You are, it's amazing to hear your testament, to hear what you're saying. But let me tell you something. These boys need men. That man, what's his name again? Bear. These boys, this young man need that bear. My son here is the luckiest son in the world, but he had me. And I keep it real. I'm proud to be his father. I have stood by him. He is my ride or die. This guy here. I will do anything in this world for this guy. Anything. Anything that I'll break the law for him. And that's the bond. He's my blood. He's my son. And what's missing in a lot of our households is that father figure. What's missing in our household is men like us to step up to raise the likes of you. We men. Us. It's something we need to emphasize and speak about and make folks uncomfortable. Men to raise these young men. Because let me tell you something. We're heading into a very slippery slope with our sons. Folks, I challenge every man here, man of age, and you're growing up, all of you, men here, you're gonna grow up to be fathers someday. A lot of you have holes in your hearts with a picture of your father. You have a hole in your heart with a picture of your dad that is non-existent. Therein lies the conundrum. We're here to seek solutions. Men, let's step up. It's game time. This is it. It's game time. The boy child, I have 2 daughters I love beyond, but my son is special. Thank you.
What happens when emotional needs like belonging and esteem aren't met over time?
What happened? Can you say that again?
Yeah. What happens when emotional needs like belonging and self-esteem aren't met over time?
Belonging and self-esteem are not met over time. Then that shows the community is depriving the individual of the next level, which is self-actualization. And we all identify 5 levels in Maslow's theory, so to say. But later, there are 3 other more added. Cognitive needs, aesthetics needs, and transcendence needs. And from all scenarios, you see that everything has a leaning on the other. So when the transcendence is a priority in any family, which we all struggle with today, and transcendence has to do with you looking up to something higher than you are, your spirituality, and which is a very powerful coping skill that is not inculcated in most families as a value. And that is why our young ones in their own generation have the communal influence to lean onto the so-called coping skill that our brother here says it impairs your mentality. It's toxic to the body. And in fact, it gets you into trouble. Whether weed or alcohol, they are not supportive. They are not antidote when it comes to mental health. I'd rather say run from them. When you have transcendence in this Maslow level of hierarchical needs, it imbibes in you that super coping skill. And it reminds you of the need to come back to baseline and gives you hope. And this is what is really lacking. When the foundation is destroyed, there's nothing the builder can do than to go and repair. So the basic thing, either physiological, either security, self-belonging, self-esteem, self-actualization, they are just like systemic block. When one is missing, the other is jeopardized. When you remove transcendence in the needs of any individual, then that individual has nothing to hold on to in life. Sorry, I am being biased because I'm a priest. Our brother mentioned Jesus turned water to wine. Yes. In fact, water turned to wine, I will tell you, was not intoxicating wine, not the alcoholic, and I will prove it. For any wine to be alcoholic, the material medium, the fluid or the liquid, has to be fermented. And fermentation has to go through metabolism of material, the breakdown of the material. So it is in the process of fermentation that the liquid will become alcoholic. But it was an instant thing done within a day. And when the people also drank the wine, they said, "Where have you left this?" Their utterance was coherent. It was not distorted from psychiatric point of view. Their sobriety was maintained. If a policeman stops somebody and asks, "Let me give you a test," whether for alcohol or for substance abuse or use, when your sobriety does not correlate what is expected, then there is trouble. So their speech was not distorted. So I want to clarify that because there are different categories of wine. So we don't lean on that as a justification to imbibe drinking for pleasure or for whatsoever thing. So when we don't have self-esteem or belonging, it's either the individual is being deprived of the love from the family, you are ejecting or secluding. So when anybody has a sense of seclusion, rejection, this Euphoria sets in, and these are what culminates to mental health imbalance. So we all need to show love. When somebody feels excluded, you need to show love. Do not bully, do not reject, do not stigmatize, do not make them as outcasts. Embrace them, bring them back whenever they fall into the ditch. Do not say they have not done well. Try to cheer them up even when they have failed, because they can rise again. Look at the story of our brother. Look at what we are sharing here. There is no man who is a Superman here, who cannot but struggle. We all have our struggle, but let's be real to ourselves and give this support instead of stigmatizing and naming and shaming. Thank you.
Honestly, perfectly locks us into our next topic. In honoring mental health, we must also honor those we've lost. Jabella, how do you and your friends talk about grief?
Grief. I will say this question really didn't apply to me till most recently when I lost my grandmother. I'm lucky enough to have a good circle, a tight, well, I mean, of course, everyone has their friends, right? Lucky enough, I have a good circle around me where I can kind of open up about grief. I thank God that I have people that I can kind of, not only can I go to them, but they also can see I'm struggling. And so they offered me the space as well as just allowed me to just be more emotional, cry about it, you know, and still do, because grief is something that's always, it's not something that just goes away. Of course, it can be harder at times, but it definitely does, you know, linger a little bit, especially if it's someone closer to you. But yes, I would definitely say grief is not something I personally kind of, it wasn't like the easiest conversation for me, but I have friends that have allowed me to kind of open up about it. And I will say my male friends have also, because I know everyone's thinking, oh, it's just my female friends that like I'm talking about. But I do have male friends as well who have allowed me to kind of open up and share. So I would just say, consider the friends you have around you. And again, like, are you checking in on them, or are they checking in on you as well?
Can you explain why teens are vulnerable and how silence and shame can be broken?
What do you mean? Just basically.
Oh, you want me to read it?
Yes.
All right,
You don't want to hear it.
sure.
I don't talk much, but I guess mental health is an uncomfortable subject. And I just wanted to share a quote, and the quote is, "To live is to suffer, and to survive is to find meaning in suffering."
Say that one more time, please.
To live is to suffer, and then to survive is to find meaning in suffering. If that makes any sense.
Can you just pass that to me? And I thought, how relevant.
Well, we were on the subject of mental health, and I struggle with mental health myself as something, you know, I mean, I have a prosthesis. So basically I have one leg, and I tend to get sad about those kind of things. But in that sense, it's like, yeah, it would a lot, it all could be a lot worse. There's always somebody going through so much worse. And as long as you could put that in your head that you're not the only one going through something, that there's always somebody else going through something either equal or greater, I think we are.
For sharing. So Um. It's so important, again, as parents, as wonderful parents that just spoke in their fathers, right?
Right.
Fathers.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's usually mothers that take the brunt of a lot of this work with children. And we have exceptional fathers here, which is not the norm. But for our children, who coming from a mother, you are all of our hearts. And for our child to bring us here to form a conversation between us is impactful, it's needed, and it's a cry for help. And not only is it a cry for help, it's also a need for communication. I don't know how many times I'm gonna tell you thank you. But I'll tell you one more time. You're credible. So 988, I want everybody to remember this number. 988. You don't want to suffer in silence. You can text the number, you can call the number, you can go on social media or websites. It is a hotline for a mental health crisis, a mental health just talk, or just to clear your head or clear your mind. If you need to. Your parents are here, ready and willing, and thank you to the parents that showed up today. How incredible. And thank you to the students. Guess what I'm gonna say again? Thank my God. Thank you.
Yeah,
You falling asleep?
no, I'm doing research.
The Celtics already won.
All right, it's another game.
What emotions come up when you hear of a young suicide?
What emotions come up when I hear of a young suicide? It kills me. I've died so many times. I have died so many times. I have never witnessed, I have never come across or experienced this rate. It's like a rite of passage that I don't understand as a father. If this guy here committed suicide, I would die the next day. I would die. Like, I will not survive that. Your generation is, I don't get it. I don't understand. As a father, I don't understand. Growing up, you know, you make fun of us when we say we walked up hills, barefoot, did all this stuff, whatever, you don't wanna hear that crap. But we never committed suicide. It was never in our DNA. It wasn't heard of. You guys are baffling us. I'll speak for myself. I am baffled. Right. I'll give you a scenario where a mother told me how her son committed suicide. They were watching Netflix. He excused himself. He went upstairs. He came back downstairs and he told his mom, hey, listen, you may want to call the, what are they called? Them. Because I just took something. And I'm starting to feel the effects. Like, what did you just do? Yeah. But it wasn't his first time. He died. They came, but it was too late. What are we missing as parents? What are the signs? What are the signs? Are there signs that we should be looking for that we don't know? Like, this is your son, this is your daughter, especially, and it's prevalent more on our boy child again. I'm gonna go back to that again. I think it's more prevalent. Quote me if I'm wrong, but I think it's more of our sons. What are we missing as a parent? What are the signs that are there that? So going back to your question, it kills me every time. All we do is love you guys so much. You are everything we live for. There's nothing else in this life. And we thought once we were done with diapers, we thought once we whatever, when you became teenagers, you sent you to college, you were done. We thought we were done. Only to realize the struggle has just begun, because now you're independent. You have your cars, you go wherever, you come and go as you please. We don't know where you are. We're not, you're no longer accountable to us. You're adults. Then we get that call. I want to turn this around on you guys and let us know. Where have we failed, or what are we missing, or what are the? I'm baffled at this. I am totally baffled at this. There is no word in the dictionary. If you're divorced, they call you a divorcee. If your wife dies, you're a widow, you're a widower, you are this. But there's nothing in the dictionary that talks about a parent losing their child. There's no word. There's nothing in the dictionary. It's not supposed to happen. And then suicide. I say this, and I'm blunt. And these guys know better than I do. They study this stuff. They know this stuff. I'm blunt. It's unacceptable. From my perspective as a father, it just does not make any sense. What are we missing? What are the signs? What can we do better? How can we curb this? What's the solution? I don't have the answer. I'd like the experts to tell us how better we can, yeah, my brother, go ahead.
Yes, I think that Ellen mentioned something about risk factors. And that can be anything from what they are taking in which they're not supposed to be taking. Drugs, alcohol, and all that. When you take something like that, it compromises the ability for rational thinking. So you don't think right. People jump over the bridge when they have something in the system. So we have to watch out for those signs. That's number one.
Watching Netflix. He was watching Netflix with his mother.
But I can say that sometimes there are no signs, but if you're living with someone that is struggling, you will see the signs. Which I'm sure.
Can you touch on what the signs?
Okay.
Where somebody.
And then depression is also one of those. When someone is excessively depressed, there's isolation. It's locked in the room, it's staying in the room by herself or himself. You have to find out why. You know, they're not eating, they're just isolating themselves, they're giving out things away, you know, those kind of signs. And above all, there's something we're talking about here. How do we bring our children to God? Well, as a Christian, I know there are many religions, but there's no religion that advertises suicidal death by suicide. That is, you have to kill yourself. It is among the 10 commandments. It says, thou shalt not kill. It doesn't isolate the fact that you shouldn't kill yourself as a Christian anyway. So we have to bring religion, we have to bring Christianity, we have to talk about the Bible. We're not doing that. And sometimes we forget. We say when all options fail, we then talk to God. It's the opposite. We start with God, then end with other options. We often think like, you rush to me and take a pill, and there's a magic pill that is going to help. You know, we really have to keep talking to these children and making additions to the verses in the Bible. There's always a key to anything in the Bible.
I don't think our children are into the Bible like we were. I don't think they're at that level. I don't think so.
So who is making the mistake? Are we making any effort, or just letting them go because they're not into the Bible?
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, the whole like parents.
Go ahead.
Hold parents accountable. I would say you guys don't ask us the questions. Like you kind of just like us. You want to see the signs, we don't see the signs, and you raise us to be like invincible, strong African men, African women, but you don't ask us like, are you okay? Like on a daily basis or on a weekly basis. I would ask, are you mentally okay? Because like with me out in Virginia, and my mom asked me after years and years and years, like last year she asked me, are you mentally okay? We talked for like 2-3 hours. But before that, she never asked me that question, so I never said anything. That she raised me to just be tough and strong and go through whatever. Yeah. And she never asked me that. So like after that, I just started talking to her more and more and more. And it's like the parent, since you're head of the household, it's like you have to take the initiative to like ask the question. Because we don't know, like we won't say anything until you show us that you wanna open, like you wanna, you open the door.
What's your name?
There.
What's college, what are you up to in life?
Basketball player, college basketball.
Okay, this is great. Anyone else? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to add to that too. So you was asking about the sign.
Yeah.
Basically, I'm a single mom too, single mom of two.
Uh-huh.
So the sign is like she mentioned, if you live with your son or daughter, you would know, you would notice. And the missing part is communication.
Okay.
You communicate with your son or daughter. I have two sons, so I always ask, sometimes I see him locked in his room for a long time. I just, can you come out, help mom bring the box from the car? Even I don't need that, bring that box out from the car. I just ask him out from his room because I want to see him outside from his room. If he doesn't, I need help, I cannot carry this, it's heavy. It's not heavy, but I just create something, let him get out from his room. So some basic thing, and then ask him, you okay? Let's go to the mall, let's go for a walk with mom. Like earlier, I just went for a walk with him. Let's go for a walk with mom, see the bird.
But Africans, we do doubles. We're working all the time. We're doing doubles. Yeah. We're working. I'm keeping it real here.
I'm the mom, you go too.
Yeah.
So as a mom, we always work because we want to provide food. We want to make sure enough food, enough clothes for our children. But then you missing part is the communication with them.
Parents, listen.
Yeah. So, but as a children, you also see that your parents are busy, but it doesn't mean that they don't care. No matter how old you are, in mom's heart, you're still a baby.
Always.
You're still a baby.
Always.
Yeah, when you got, off the diaper, you go to college.
We think
But in your heart, in his mom's heart, oh, what is my baby doing with his college? Is it heavy class? Do they do assignment on time? So all that is still have in the mom's mind, say, oh, no matter what, even they off college, can they adapt with the college life? Can they do homework on time? Are they, this and that? Are they having any difficulty? But then call check. You ate okay? You have mental okay, or you financially okay? You need money? You need mom to come up, bring you something, Sometimes they say,
They always want money, they always want money.
Yeah. Those are the things that I, no matter what I'm, like I say, as a parent, no matter how old the children are, it's still the baby in my heart.
Always.
All right.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I want to say that the signs are always there. We see it, it's just that we don't see it. We complain that we have a lot of things to do. We go to work, we do 2 jobs, but these children are our investment. If you believe the children that God has given you are your investment, you will see them, you will know them right from when they are still small. But I tell you, the signs are always there, but we don't see it because we don't really know them. Because if you know your child at the age of 2, at the age of 3, at the age of 9, you understand the emotion. You understand how they behave. If anything changes, you will know. But maybe because we are so encumbered with so many things, we want to give them what they want, money, food, everything. But I tell you, if you give them your time, your emotions, you invest into them, they will understand who you are. Even when you don't have anything to give them, you don't have money, they will understand. And when you have money, they will understand. But when you have invested into them, they will know when to come to you when there is problem. But when you are never there, you will not see the sign. If anything changes, you will not know. So we need to be with our children. Be intentional with them. Listen to them. Quality time with your children, not even 30 minutes every day. Just 10 minutes with them goes a long way. So you don't have to have that 2 hours a day because you are busy, but that 10 minutes with them, talk to them, find out what happened in school today. What did you do today?
But my sister.
My children.
My sister, they're 22, 23, 24, 25.
My children my daughter is 23, the oldest is 23. I tell you every day, I'm so busy, you know it. Yeah. Every day we talk. She's in Philadelphia. She will call me, we have talked today. 2 of them we have talked today. I have 4. This is the last one. We need to invest our time. Even if it is 30 minutes, talk to them. Even if it's 1 minute, talk to them.
Yeah. Hold on.
Yeah.
She's been waiting.
Go ahead.
I think as parents, we also need to take accountability, especially when it comes to the boy child. Because we have to understand that the generation we're bringing up is not the same generation that was there. You can't be telling these boys, oh, boys don't cry, boys don't talk about this, boys don't. No, we have to take accountability. Talk to your child. Don't tell them when we were growing up, we were not crying. Let the boy cry if he wants to cry. When he wants to talk, let him talk. And like that young man was saying, the problem with us parents is, oh, I have a problem. I call my friends. Let's drink some whiskey. Let's feel good. No, start sharing also. Like there is. But there is. Yeah, let them be vulnerable with you and with themselves, because they're not. What do you want them to go? Go somewhere else at a corner, buy weed, and feel vulnerable over there? Let them be vulnerable at home with you. Let them talk. Even us as adults, we have this functional depression where we are walking, we're depressed, but we're walking, everything is fine, we're doing good, but inside us, we're dying. And that's why instead of talking, because we were brought up like that, we don't talk, we go and drink, we go and do whatever, talk about it. If you need therapy, talk about it. A lot of these insurances, health insurances, they have therapy paid for, use it. It's like a taboo. You can't be going to therapy, because you grew up in Africa, you can't be going to therapy and talking to people. Talk to people. Yeah. If you talk to a therapist, they are guarded by HIPAA. They cannot talk to somebody about you to somebody else or whatever. If you're scared of talking to somebody, we have Africans who are educated. Talk to them. They're therapists. Talk to them. They're guarded by HIPAA too. So let's not just say, hey, you kids are not talking to us, what are the signs? Yes, the signs are there, like she said, they are there. But because we're not taking the time with our children, we're investing, and I say this all the time. You want to invest and build $100 million, whatever buildings in Africa? Yes. Let me tell you, these kids, once you die, they'll sell them off or give them away. Because they'll look at those things like, you took your time to build a mansion, you did not take the time to talk to me when I needed you, to be there when there was teachers, whatever conference, show up for my games, encourage me. You did not take that time. You took time to go, madam, work. Madam, work. The Kikuyus know what I'm talking about. Instead of talking to me at home, making that dinner with me at home. We're talking about our girls don't even know how to cook. Did you show them? Did you take time to cook with them? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we order, we whatever. What? Take your time with your child. And there will always be that liability where there's one who, you can't really understand. That's fine. Take your time with your children or young adults. Take your time to talk to us too as parents. And trust me, we're going through these things too. When I was growing up, my parents didn't even have a TV. I grew up, TV and everything, all westernized. Yes, I do have the accent and everything, but trust me, my mom is 70, almost 40 years younger than her. Come on. That one. But there is that disparity where they don't understand us. We're going through the same things you're going through. And for us parents, understand that these young ones are going through the same things we're going through. When you're in this country, you have a parent in Africa who doesn't understand what you're going through here. This child who is sitting here, who did not grow in your era, is going through the same thing you're going through. Understand them. Parents, take accountability. Kids, open up to us, and also make us accountable. of what we're doing to you, because we are doing this to you. So make us accountable of it. You're not listening to me, you're not, if something happens to a kid out there, tell them. You're complaining here, these kids are taking their own lives, these kids are going into drugs. While as you parents are not listening to us, talk to us, make us listen. In the future, we'll actually look at ourselves and be like, oh, okay, they're actually making sense.
Hello, I'm back. Please, I just want to add something. If we build a trust-based relationship with our kids, it will make a change. Because if our kids see us as their refuge, there is nothing they can hide. So if you know your kid and you know your kid know that you will be there for him or for her, he'll run to you when everything is down. Okay.
My take is we can't deal with this problem unless we approach it in a different way as a community, as large, because you could be talking to your child, but you have those deep stereotypes that are African. You're talking religion, you're talking Maasai. Your child doesn't understand that. As a community, we have a lot of gatekeeping that we do, and we are not actively listening and respecting the view of our children. We are trying to bridge, and I came because I really want to pursue that, bridging the gap between the generations. That's how we feel. Our approach would be, we need to identify clearly the way we are going back and forth. It means that as a community, there's a need for the young generation to talk to the old generation and identify the differences and bridge that gap and bring it together. That means that as parents, there are those things in my culture that I feel are right, like going to church and all that. Yet, my kid is probably looking at me and saying, oh, you're so religious, yet you've only managed to buy a Pro Box. And you say this is a God who is wealthy, who can give you anything you ask for. So there are those small things that we have in us that we need to bring them out. So there's a lot of unlearning to do as parents from Africa. Actually, if you go to TikTok, there are jokes every day of African parents. So basically, we need to unlearn as African parents and learn our American children. And then try to bridge that gap. There's a lot of education to be done to us parents. Well, I don't know anything a lot. I was raised in Africa, but I don't mind listening actively to my child and respecting his point of view and telling him, oh, as an African mother, I'll try to change. I'll try to listen to you more. I'll try not to spank you. And also, we don't have a lot of information as African parents. When I came to this country, no one told me that when you beat your child, it's a crime. When your child goes and pees on the fence, it's a crime. So there's a lot of education that you need to do. And I think one resource we have is technology, and we can use technology to bridge that gap and have this kind of meetings, as well as have intergenerational activities that we come together, celebrate our likeliness, our culture, and also celebrate our differences. Yeah, that's my take. Thank you.
Like what you were saying, what is it? What are the parents missing? I would say, there's a lot of expectations placed on the kids, and those are not expectations that they're expecting from themselves. It's expectations that the parents put on them. And you go in the real world too. The world's telling you be this, be that. It gets heavy. If you want to really be there for your kid, ask them what they want to be. See them for them, not you seeing them for what you want them to be. Because you want me to be this, you want me to be that. Dad, can I be myself? Can I do this? This is what I want to do. This is what makes me happy. But you're telling me to do what makes you happy. Am I living for you or am I living for me? And that's when life gets heavy. That's why kids take their lives. That's why kids do what they do to themselves. Because the whole world is telling them to do this, to do that. And they don't feel seen, they don't feel heard.
We want you to be doctors, all of you be doctors, all of you.
You know what I mean? Like, I want to do this, I want to do that, you want me to be a doctor. It gets heavy, you go to the world too. You don't even know who you really are. Your parents are telling you to be this. Your mom's telling you to do this. The world is telling you, be a doctor, do this. You're only given so many options at that, coming from the hood or where we're living. You gotta be a rapper, you gotta be a basketball player, or be a doctor, nothing else in that realm. But yeah, so I say see your kids for who they really are, sit with them, understand them. And one thing for sure too, as parents, we're living for them. Or they're living for you at that. Because what you placed in them, what you installed in them, you want to tell them, yo, you could be anything you want to be, and don't cage them up to where they don't really experience the world. Because once they get into the real world, the world's gonna eat them up due to the simple fact that you were hiding them from the world. The best to set them apart from everybody else is tell them about the real world. Don't hide anything from them. Once they're gonna have to learn on their own, and when they learn on their own, they're exposed to a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So the earlier you expose them, you tell them what's right and what's wrong, the easier they can navigate through life. And for the young guys too, when I was talking about my uncle, I shed some tears because he means the world to me. I can cry in front of anybody. As a man, they'll tell you, never show any strength and never show any sign of weakness, but I know myself. I'll cry, wipe my own tears and get up and walk away. I'm a man before anything. I know who I am. I pride myself and know who I am. So can nobody make me feel any less of me when I cry or when I'm down. I'm a human being. Well, it's okay to cry. It's okay to feel emotions. So next time you're frustrated, you want to cry, you go ahead and cry. Wipe your tears and just know everything's gonna be all right. Everything is passing through. No feeling is final, but make sure you feel it right then and there. And you don't suppress it because that's when you explode. That's the other thing about mental health. We're all suppressing everything we feel. Next thing you know, you're exploding. So feel what you need to feel right then and there. Don't save it for later. Later, another thing's gonna come. If you face it right then and there, you'll be calmer for whatever's next to come. But to answer OG's question, man, best way to prepare your kids and really be there for them, and my own perspective, as far as preventing suicide, see them for who they really are. Listen to them, understand them, be their friend. Sometimes you gotta step away from that father role where do this, you need to do that. I know what's best for you, but what's best for me, Dad? What's best for me, Mom? Are you even really hearing from where I'm coming from, or are you just hearing yourself from where you're coming from? But that's my answer.
All right, I got you.
I appreciate y'all. Thank you for having me here. It was a pleasure, and I wish you guys the best.
I'm like, my parents were born in Haiti, right? And so they came to America. I fresh air. Yeah. We came to America. I had no father growing up. And my mom, I was the first woman, the first child, the first man that she ever had. And after prejudice around me, really torn me up. I couldn't grow. It hurt me so bad to like being to my nuts. My mom, I was the man that was gonna make her happy. I didn't understand anything. I had no problem to take somewhere around. It hurt me so bad. My mom, she put it on me. From the gate, it seemed like men were invisible. They can't show no pain. You couldn't do anything like that. And it hurt me so much to know that I couldn't be the man that she wanted it to happen. I just later on, was the people that I grew up with around. I grew around many men that I see as my family that aren't really my blood at all. Like a good friend of mine, David, the older guy, treated me as a son. To the point that I consider my father, the man that I wanted to be. A man of many talents, a man who could stay there and respect his mom. And his mom look up to him the day that she died, the day she's there. And I want to be him. But that's suicide, father. So thought of just like disappointing your parents in general. Hurts the child so bad. With me, I had an absentee father. My mom would tell me stories saying that he was a bad man. Hearing that over and over again, I never wanted to be anything like him. But as I grew up and as I started like acting up, I became somewhat like him. I hated that. I hated that so much. And then, grew out of it. I became a better man than my father ever was, ever will be. They said, they put me around me and all that. The other day, a friend of mine was about to commit suicide. I came to his house as fast as I could, talked to him in that moment. I made sure that he knew that he was loved for the person he was. He told me how he was like his dad. I told him he wasn't. I told him he was a better man than his dad could ever be. We were children without a father. Children who grew up not knowing how to be a man correctly. Only showing examples through the parents telling them stories. When you see that man in front of you, that man talking to you today, telling you that it's okay to cry, to show weakness, that man is a true father that you will be doing him. As a guy, you should know that. Not relying on the stories that they tell you, but those stories that you see, and that you hear from yourself. Thanks to me, and thanks to many other men, like the men that was just here, you, Ochi, you showed the younger generation the strong side of men. The third day of men show us the soft side, the man that we need to be. In men, is duality, the strong and the weak. To be a real man, in my eyes, gotta be both. Can't be showing softness without being hard. Can't be showing that you're hard without being afraid. You can show weakness. I thank my mom. I thank everybody that I met in my life for showing me that. My friends currently, I see them as my brothers, my children. I take care of them to the point that I want to make sure that I'm their dad in their life. I want to make sure that my younger siblings know that they might not have a father, or their father may not be that good to them. But I'm there. I'll make sure they're all right. And many of my friends were dealing with the hardest things they could ever do with life. One of my friends no longer with his parents. And I helped him out. As the best I could. I did the best I could. And I see myself thinking to myself, I did the best I could. I can be a father. But where's the father that I required? Where's the father that I needed when I was younger? I could grow up and show everybody, yeah, I could be a daddy. But where was my dad when I needed him? Where was my dad waiting there when I needed him? Getting in trouble, only my mom was there. All she felt was shame when I was getting in trouble. Knowing that her son might be raised into the father that harmed her or did a lot of bad things to her. Thanks to people around me, I grew into a better person than my father can make me. What's
your name again?
Chris.
Huh?
Chris. It's called Christ.
Christ. My name is Christopher. By the way, forget the OG now. Christopher. I'm a bearer of Christ. That is my name. And I'll tell you something. You have spoken wisdom. You have spoken courage. You are gonna be a dynamic leader, father. You have it all in you. I'll tell you this. Jiro, this is one of many sessions we're gonna be having. All right? This is one of many sessions just to hear what's coming out of your heart and what you have always desired. My brothers, fathers, let's step up to the plate. Let us step up to the plate. This is what I'm talking about. This is my boy child right here. This is him. This is my place. This is him. And my man, you're good, you're solid. And thank you for being so vulnerable. Thank you for opening up. Trust me. I'm gonna give you my business card. We're gonna catch up, we're gonna talk, that kind of thing. But folks, give this man a round.
here to add to, the thing that sometimes in personal communication, and sometimes like some of our parents raise onto a certain standard that the parent is always right, and like it's never wrong, that person is true. I mean, I was always going, there were times where I faced that, my temple was kind of a household. There are times where I visit friends' houses, and example, sitting in front of the road, trying to do that, about saying small or big issues in their lives. And they're, the parents kind of sort of like for saying, oh, the parents are right. That's not always true. Sometimes it's okay to express how you feel honestly, or sometimes the same stereotypes about each gender, same men, or crime, and stuff like that. Express the way how we feel. It's not shameful to express. Express. There are times where I feel like I'm so many times. First time I ever that feeling must have been great because I got bored for a lot of ways. Just be myself. And there are times where I talk to other people about it. Oh, men don't cry. If you commit suicide, you're gonna live a life of pain. You know, you're not gonna achieve anything. You're just gonna die and go together. You're not gonna cry. If you live in depression, you're gonna be like this, you're gonna be like that. That persona is not always true. Sometimes it's all about communication and bringing the answer to that. That type of standard should not be accepted anywhere else. Parent is not always right. You're a human being. There are times where the right answer is not always the right answer. It's best to communicate. It's okay to be wrong. Things can be wrong, parents can be wrong, but one thing, you know, they're right. It is best, it's best to agree with that and then move on to life. It's not always right to, you know, rely on the same stereotype over and over and over. Because that's not really gonna bring any success to yourself. It's just gonna bring about problems and issues if we don't come to that conclusion.
I just wanted to start like closing off the conversation with like a point of view coming from, of course, a first gen student, but also from a perspective of like, I've had friends who have had multiple kind of instances of wanting to commit suicide. I've had multiple friends, past partners who dealt with depression, stuff like that. Have kind of wanted to go that route in different ways. So I just wanted to list out kind of some of the warning signs of like self-harm, suicide. So firstly, I would just say like, of course, we've already said behavioral changes. And I know that's kind of obvious, but I feel like we don't really kind of look for some of the specifics. So I would say like what I've noticed and what I've kind of collected is like when a person stops going out, you're not seeing them as often, when they're not into communication anymore, even if it's like with their best friend, with their parents or even, you know, their siblings especially, as well as like, just like, cause I feel like everyone has their own sort of life, you know, we all carry a sort of energy when we enter the room, in our own relationships and stuff like that. So when you kind of see a person start to change their attitude, not only about their situation, but how they interact with like just society in a sense. So like when they can't relate themselves to their surroundings, or when that relation is kind of changing where it's like, oh, I don't want to do this, this is worthless, this is pointless, nothing's ever gonna change, those kind of thoughts and points of view about life, just kind of a more negative outlook on everything, kind of nothing's ever gonna change. And yeah, I mean, I have some more, maybe. I mean, cries of help can look completely different all the time. But I think the main thing, and I kind of want to harp on it, is just checking in with someone always. One text can really go a long way. A person isolating themselves might just be like they're upset for one moment, but it could also be like they've been doing that for a long time, so it's kind of built up. So yeah, just making the action towards caring and being kind and stuff like that.
Just on the final note, I want to thank everybody. It's been so engaging, right from the floor to all the members of the panel. I am so motivated by our brother, Mr. Christian. Thank you for your father figure. We can see your son, we can see what you're doing. And on a final note, I want to say that when you hear something, I want to repeat, do something. America says, when you see something, say something. And what you want to do, I put it in an acronym of RESPOND. R for referral, where it is important to professionals, clinical. E to be empathetic, and S to be supportive, and P to be positive around it, and O to be optimistic, and N to nurture, and D to be definite. Do something definite. And I close with this. When my daughter or our daughter was studying in New York University, she reported, given a kind of note she received from her friend who was about to commit the act of suicide. And she called me immediately. That's whom my wife referred to, that she's now in Philadelphia. My daughter called me, Dad, this is the note my friend is saying and apologizing and closing everything. New York, I'm in Massachusetts. All I could do was what we call fright and flight. Naturally, it gripped me with fear. Oh, something was going to happen, but not with despair that I can't do anything. So 988, Ms. Zod told us about, that's the response line for that kind of thing. But my instinct said 911, and that's what I initiated. It was difficult though, and I wouldn't want to override, say, oh, Massachusetts, New York didn't have any jurisdiction. And thank God, they connected New York. They got to the lady and they brought her back safely. And today she graduated from New York University. When you do something, do something. RESPOND. I just formed it when we were here. Please, thank you, God bless you.
So with my closing, guys, my story in a nutshell was, again, someone extremely close to me developed some of the warning signs. But as an African mom or an African parent, we don't see. We don't see. And you're telling us non-verbally that you're struggling. And we do not understand because that's not where we came from. However, through this experience and through everything that has happened since with the healthcare system and the mental healthcare system, I can attest today that my person is here and still alive and still has issues, but they're still alive. And I give grace to God for that. And every day is a struggle, but the person is still here. I need you all to talk to your parents. I need you all to talk to your friends. I need you all not to suffer in silence. We don't have everything, all of the tools, but we love you guys. And I know you guys love us back. But talk, speak. And you can also reach out to us.
And with that, I just wanted to give like 30 seconds of quiet reflection to honor those that we lost.
We stand up for that.
Yeah, stand up.
We stand up for that. Let's stand up. Are we done? I'm an MC. I do this kind of stuff. Like I have this, what you did today has taken your whole charisma, your whole brand to another level. Thank you. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have shown up. I was watching the Celtics when I came because of you, and I'm glad I'm here. Thank you. Thank you, Shiro. Thank you. Thank you.
No, that's
What's going on? What's going on? We're here
Oh my
Bugs, buddy. I saw you standing up when they said you're here. Yeah.